Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. I'm sitting on the arm of my chair so you can see Socks today. Oh, he'd rather be asleep than talking about books. Oh no. Oh, Socky. He's going to sit on the chair. He's got all the cushions there. I hope you're all well. It's raining today in Manchester, so the temperature's come down a bit, which is good. It was never that hot, really. We're just not used to it. He's annoyed. I'm fighting off gloom, kind of. Waiting for responses to things, to outlines, and slowly getting them. And of course, they lead to more work all the time. The thing about not having had the kind of what they call the breakthrough novel or success of the kind that lots of your peers in writing have had is that whatever you do, the things that you've done before count against you. Their lack of mass market appeal means that you are doing something wrong, and so you have to reinvent yourself every time and come at things from a different angle. And it means that everybody gets their say. If anybody's interested enough, which is a blessing, people tell you what to do. And you have to kind of jump through hoops in order to keep on going. Very hard to hang on to the sense of your own self and self-worth and your own stylistic idiosyncrasies, the things that make you the writer that you are, even if nobody wants to hear that person telling the stories that they want to tell in the way that they do. There's lots and lots of people telling you why you should be telling other stories in a different way, in a way you'd never dream of, in a way that's more like everybody else, if this is what you want to do. So that's quite difficult to deal with on a daily basis, really. When you're not hearing that stuff, you torture yourself with it. Why can't you be more conventional? Why can't you actually do this properly after all this time? So it's a bit of a muddling through, to be honest. And some days are harder than others. And today should be okay because I've still sat down and written my 1,200 words, trying out this new story that I want to do in a quite experimental form. And usually, writing in the morning and getting words done, that's my rocket fuel to sustain me through the rest. But it doesn't take much to ignite the fumes of self-doubt. Anyway, that's where I'm up to, trying not to feel gloomy about not fitting in, not doing it right. Anyway, I'm almost at the end of this. Banana Yoshimoto. And I think, as I said the other day, I'm really, really enjoying this. It's such a difficult book in some ways, in that it shifts focus. They're short stories, but I don't think they're literally connected at a kind of plot level, but thematically they fit together as a suite, and they're about being 20 years older since the last time you met this person, and the kind of bittersweet lessons of that. And that's exactly where I come in with having read Banana Yoshimoto back in the 90s. So it's a strange feeling, very kind of Generation X kind of feeling. You know, we knew this is what middle age would feel like. All of the regrets and self-doubt. I think she writes beautifully. The only thing about this book is, this is a bit of a gripe, it's got such a beautiful cover. The packaging is so lovely. But the binding is quite tight, so it makes it slightly uncomfortable to read without breaking the spine utterly, which I'm kind of loath to do in a way, but it's ended up broken. I think on the whole I prefer reading hardbacks these days. The print is bigger, the trims and gutters around the pages are wider, and the book falls open more easily. But there's lots to love about this, and I really want to go and explore the books I've missed and the books that I'd forgotten about. I don't know which is my favourite. There's a really shocking one I read this morning where everything changes in a page. There's a shocking death, a murder at one point that was a real surprise. They're not ghost stories as such. The first one is. But they all have a kind of a haunting quality to them. I look forward to rereading this, actually. That's what I look forward to. The kind of thing you go back to. That's important to have those books. Right, yesterday, a bit of a book haul here. We went to Cheadle, which is a little high street near us. I guess it used to be a little town, and we've gone there for years and years since we first moved here. And it's a chance to go up and down all the vintage shops, the charity shops. Jeremy buys vintage records, not the expensive ones. When you go to Oxfam and they're all about £15, it's ridiculous, but bargain charity shop stuff is what we both like. And then we get a milkshake or fruit juice in a certain cafe bar that's there and sit for a bit with all of our loot just for half an hour before we go off and do shopping or whatever. And these are little tranquil moments in the week. We like proper kind of old pensioner stuff. Lots of our friends do, I suppose, as well, and we're lucky in that to have these very quiet afternoons where you don't do much. You just go around these little shops and look at records and books and then sit. Sounds like a parcel has just arrived, knocking at the door. Anyway, the book loot from yesterday was quite extensive and quite hardbacky. As I said, the hardbacks are my favourite at the moment. Although there was one tiny Barclay Prime Crime paperback from a series I don't know. I think I lost track of what was coming out. Yeah, this is 2016. In about 2007, 8, 9, I was obsessed with all these series. This is To Helvetica and Back. I believe it's about a shop for typewriters and book repair. And the people who work there and how they rescue typewriters, but also people, and solve murders. There's something so friendly about these Barclay cozy prime crime books. It's been a long time since I read one, actually. So finding the first in a series is fortuitous and unusual, actually. So that's on the pile. Then Irene Nemirovsky, I think is how you pronounce it. Now, I've got Suite Française, and I've meant to read it for ages and ages. I saw the film and loved it, and I've read about it, and this is another novel. The story is that her novel was found in a suitcase. It's all to do with the Nazi occupation of France, and she wrote while France was under occupation, and years afterwards they found this amazing novel hidden away. Well, it turns out they found another one in more recent years, and this is it. Fire in the Blood. A morality tale with doubtful morals. This gem of a novel by the author of the posthumously acclaimed and best-selling Suite Française was discovered only recently and never previously published. A couple of pages were in the famous suitcase. which Nemirovsky's daughters saved, and the rest had been deposited with a family friend and editor during the war. It's set in a small village, so it's an earlier book. Silvio looks back from old age on a checkered life, concealing truths he will not reveal until the end. Fire in the Blood starts quietly, lyrically, and then races away with narrative twists and surprise revelations. A young man newly married is found drowned in the mill stream. An old man is more concerned with the repayment of a debt than his young wife. A young woman asks Silvio to plead her case. No one is quite as they seem. Yeah, I love that. The idea that she looks with the same clear-eyed distance and humanity as she displayed in Suite Française, unpeeling layer after layer. Yeah. And this, it's got covered in stickers, Tom Hanks's novel, the making of another major motion picture masterpiece. This got slagged, as I remember, in the reviews. It's set over 80 years. I really like the sound of it. It's about the beginning of a comic strip about superheroes and following through decades post-war and up to the present, in which people are making a movie based on this particular superhero comic strip. And the book is peppered by pages of comic strip, facsimile, and screenplay as well, I think. I read his book of short stories, Common Type, a couple of years ago, and I enjoyed them. They felt a bit repetitive at times, but there's something about him that reminds me of John Irving. That's what it is. I read the first chapter or so in the cafe, and there's something in that voice which is like John Irving. In its, I guess it's a kind of chumminess. It's a chattiness and a friendliness of someone talking to you right there, but in that kind of slight edgy way that Irving gets from Nick Carraway in The Great Gatsby. Somebody sits down to talk to you chattily, but it's about something that will end up being a little bit disturbing. I think Stephen King has a similar tone to him at his best. Right. The other things I got, all of these are about £1 each. It's ridiculous. This was a bit more, $3.50 in Oxfam. Oxfam always charge more. John Ronson. This is his book, So You've Been Publicly Shamed, which came out in 2015. After then, the one I read by him earlier this year, The Psychopath Test, which I was blown away by. And I've meant to go back and read some more by him. And this is one that I think might be a bit disturbing. For the past 3 years, John Ronson has travelled the world meeting recipients of high-profile public shamings. The shamed are people like us, people who, say, make a joke on social media that came out badly or made a mistake at work. Once their transgression is revealed, collective outrage circles with the force of a hurricane, and the next thing they know, they're being torn apart by an angry mob, jeered at, demonised, and perhaps even fired from their job. What I loved about the other book I read was how he does go around the world and he meets the people attached to these stories. In that one, it was about people in what he called the mental health industry. And he gets at the truth by just having these quite gentle, quite probing conversations and just finding stuff out and telling a good story about it. It's the very opposite of sweeping generalizations. And that's how we always get into trouble, isn't it? By making generalizations. He takes the time to learn the specifics in a story. which, whether non-fiction or fiction, is exactly what a writer, I think, is called upon to do. Give us the specifics and don't generalize. A great renaissance of public shaming is sweeping our land. Justice has been democratized. The silent majority are getting a voice. But what are we doing with our voice? We are mercilessly finding people's faults. We are defining the boundaries of normality by ruining the lives of those outside it. We are using shame as a form of social control. It's interesting this week, of course, with post the riots in Britain and post everybody leaving Twitter because it's turned so even more horrible than it was before. So this kind of circles around questions I guess I'm thinking about. The last thing I got yesterday was Lisa Jewell's new novel, latest novel. It's just out for a ridiculously cheap price. This is her, come on socks. This is her Jessica Jones novel. It ties in with the Marvel universe. What's amazing is the Marvel bit is just up there in a tiny logo. The rest follows her own branding. She subsumes the franchise into her own universe, which is very impressive, I think, to those of us who write for other franchises to see that happen. I've really enjoyed the thrillers by her I've read so far, just a handful, but I've liked all of them. And I've seen her on social media talking about this one and the story behind it and what it's actually about. So it looks fun, and I look forward to that. So I've got now heaps and heaps of things, and not so much of the summer left. And I anticipate a good autumn's reading, although there's an awful lot of work to do. Hopefully there's a lot of work to do if different commissions come off. Anyway, I've blethered enough. Where's the cat? He's cleaning himself behind me. Socks, you're going to jump over? You're going to come over? I was just sorting out boxes of stationery. It's really satisfying. Making up separate boxes of envelopes and miscellaneous cards and wrapping paper and all those kinds of things that you use, and they always end up in a big heap inside some kind of box somewhere. I've been enjoying sending kind of physical cards and letters this summer. That's been a nice thing to do, usually with pictures and stuff. And again, it's about doing less online, perhaps. Although they don't make it easy. We have very few post boxes nearby. We've got, I think, 2 in kind of walking distance, which is crazy. Another thing, another wheel they'll have to reinvent, I think, how the post works. Anyway, I hope I haven't been too gloomy today. I'm mulling things over. And maybe Banana Yoshimoto has put me into a reflective and slightly melancholic mood. I'll see you all again soon. Okay, goodbye. Socks, say goodbye. Goodbye.